Hello YouTube, this is MTShark7 here, and this is my overview of the Retron 5. Now I do have a few disclaimers, one being that this video might be kind of long, but I assure you that it will be informative. Mostly it'll hopefully go over everything you need to know before you purchase this, or if you have this unit already, maybe there's some things that you haven't, didn't know about the system, which I hopefully will go over in this video. And another disclaimer is, I do not have the Sega Power Base converter to test it and show you how that works, but I will put a link in the description of NESNate's video, which he did an overview of his Retron 5, and he demonstrates how that works with this unit. But over here, we have a few things I want to go over with the unit, some experiments, if you will. Super Game Boy games, NES to Famicom converter, Famicom games, unlicensed Nintendo game, Mega Man 3, Game Genie, and we have Paperboy, and just to test the cheat options, Star Fox 2 to show you how homebrew games work on the unit. Duck Hunt and the Zapper, which I would like to thank Nick from Next Level Video Games to let me borrow this. I do have, being a collector, I do have a Zapper and Mario Brothers Duck Hunt, but I'm not 100% sure if it works since I don't have a CRT, so he had a bunch of these laying around, so I tested one and I'm borrowing it. So Nick, thanks again, and I'll be returning that back to you after this video, or when the next time I see you after I film this video. Now, I guess that's it. I guess let's get started. So, this is the unit. I'll go over the unit first. You see, one weird thing is it has dust covers on the ports here, which I thought was odd for a video game console. I never seen that before. So you're thinking like, oh, yeah, I thought, yeah, that's pretty neat having dust covers. But of course, for the Game Boy and Game Boy Advance slot, there's no dust cover to prevent any dust from getting in there. So what I ended up doing, I kind of made my own dust cover. I taped a piece of notepad paper to it to prevent any dust from getting in there. So this holds the controller. There's the controller in all its glory. On the back here, you have their power cable, your charging cable, which reaches like a mile, your HDMI cable for hooking up to the video, obviously, and I have a 16 gig, oh, come on, focus! 16 gig SD card, which honestly is overkill, which you could probably get away with an 8 gig and still have plenty of room, but I decided to be an overachiever and stick with the 16 gig. I do apologize for this sun glare on the unit. Kind of makes it like glowing, like, oh, the Retron 5! And also the shakiness of the camera. I'm holding the camera on one of those wands, so it's like, woo, shakes. But hopefully YouTube will fix that. It'll say, hey, your video's too shaky. Let me fix that up for you. Thank you, YouTube. You're a pal. So let's turn the TV back on since it got bored and turned off. Come on. Please wait. I already waited. Jeez. And it's out of focus. Come on. So let's power this on. Now when you power it on, you have to hold it for like 5 seconds until the LEDs light up like that. Now I want to go over, there is a patch that you can install using the SD card to eliminate holding the power button in for 5 seconds, but on the website, as of now, it says like it was in beta phase and it's not 100% like workable, so there may be some bugs, so I'm like, F that, like, I spent a lot of money for the system, I'm not gonna end up breaking my system just for holding the power button 1 second as opposed to 5 seconds, so I'll wait for him to 100% iron out the bug with that. Now at the start, there is a bug right now with this current version, which I'll show you. That'll be the next thing. I'll show you the version, so that way, if there's any future versions that eliminate, like, fix any of the bugs that I go over now, that way you'll have a better understanding, like, oh, well, he's running such and such version, and then later version has been fixed, which I'll put a link in I'll put info in the description of what version I'm running currently. So, if there's any fixes beyond this video, then that have been addressed, then you can't be like, oh, wait a minute, this actually works now. Which, as of filming now, it hasn't. So, obviously, well, this is, obviously my controller is synced up, and I've been using it, but if you, first-time users, it'll ask you to sync up the controller, which I highly recommend not doing. First thing I would recommend, which, actually, I'm going to go off a tangent, I would highly recommend also picking up an SD card, because without it, you cannot use the cheat options and other features that will be futurely, I'm going with it, available for this unit. Such as, with the Super Famicom and Famicom games, you can actually, like, it actually has a translating patch where you can play, like, your Final Fantasy, and it'll convert the kanji into English text, which is basically, I can't talk today, basically my main selling point for owning the console, which it's still in beta phase, but I'm sure within a couple months it'll be worked out. Which is funny, because I wanted to wait to get the SD card before I made this video, because I want to go show you how the cheat options work, and there were some bugs, which I'll go over. In the previous version, I ended up updating when I got the SD card. There were some bugs that were annoying in the previous version that have since been fixed in this current version that I'm running now, which I'll go over in further detail as the video goes on. So, since this controller is synced, what I like to do is I rotate the controller clockwise or counterclockwise 360 degrees, and just keep on, well, do that, and then once you get the solid blue light, it's good to go. So, and, oh yeah, also, oh god, I went off a tangent. So, with the bug with this currently, save location, internal storage, that is a lie. Right now, my settings, I'll show you right now real quick, is actually my SD card. Once you go down here, System, Save Data Location, SD card, which obviously it just said it was internal storage. I always keep it on the SD card so that way, like, if there's anything I need to remove, like any corrupted files, I can simply take out the SD card, pop it in the computer, and delete the file from the computer. Or you can delete it from here, it all depends. Which, that's one thing I want to go over is deleting the files. The previous version I had when I first got the unit, it would not delete any of the system files, which I don't know if it still happens to some people, but you go to delete it, it'll say, oh, want to delete this file? And it won't, you hit OK, and it will not delete. I even cycle powered the unit, it still has the file on there. So when I did this current update, it actually fixed that problem. So that's one bug that they actually fixed since from my original version to the current version I'm running with. So let's go in System Information. Now the current version, as you can see, is I'm running 2.1, build 1714. Now the system software and hardware will always be the same. I don't think that changes at all. It's always the application that gets updated. And here you can see the internal. You get 3.1 gigs of space. And then the SD card, once formatted, it's 14.8 gigs, which is more than enough you'll ever need for this unit. So let's back out. Now, the next thing I want to go over is syncing up the controller. I know I mentioned that previously. So you want to I'm sure if you get this system, you'll obviously have one Nintendo, Genesis, or Super Nintendo controller laying around. That's why I just have this, my Max controller. Plug this into the main controller port to initially, when you fire this up, to scroll through the options, and then you want to go up here to manage. I'm sorry, I do apologize for this video. The highlighting text kind of like washes away what you can read. But right there it actually says Manage Retron 5 Controllers. So click on that. And then obviously, the first option is Pair Controller. You want to click on that. And then once you click on that on your NES or whatever have you controller you use, you want to do like a combination. Hold it and press it, hold it, press it, hold it, press it, for it to pair up. That seems to be the best way to pair this controller, which it seems that it's still a little shoddy, but it works. That's the best method I found to pair the controller. Now, I prefer the Retron 5 controller over using a Genesis or Super Nintendo controller, mostly because, well, it's wireless, and I love how they have the shortcut keys, the left key and right key, which, as we're in this menu, I will show you your best options for configuring it. Left shortcut button I use for load state, and right shortcut button I use to save state. Now, why do I choose those specific ones to load and save? Well, obviously load is left. It starts with L, so it's left. So that's how I figured remember the left button is load. And R is right, which obviously right it's W for writing memory. But that's how I remember the R for write, to save your data. So that's how I configure it personally. I mean, you could change it to whatever you want, but personally that's my preference. Controller auto off. I always save it. I always keep it at 2 minutes, which I think right now is the minimum you can choose, because this thing actually does drain battery power. Like I know some people may be like, oh yeah, it actually holds up its charge, but I don't know. Personally, for me, it has been draining it a lot, which I'm sure maybe future updates they'll fix that. But as of now, it drains it pretty. The battery drains pretty quickly. What else do we have going on? Oh yeah. All right. Let me go over the options real quick. Image filter, I keep as none. Now with scan lines, that's why I have the duck hunt and zapper test that I want to do, because I always thought if you have scan lines on, that enabled you to be able to play like light gun games on like an LCD or LED or plasma, whatever TV you have, like non-CRT TV to play it on. And because also you go down here, did I miss it? Oh yeah, here. Screen refresh. I know it's also with the refresh rate, but this is screen refresh rate to match. You want it to match the game. So I figured if I have scan lines on and the refresh rate matches the NES, hey, I can play light gun games. Well, let's see if that works. That'll be the first test. So I have scan lines on. Scan lines at the main menu I think is pointless, but I guess it's just for cosmetic purposes. Oh, hey, scan lines on. Turn it off. Screen refresh. Alright, so let's go out. Alright, let's see if we can play Duck Hunt on Retron 5. There goes Duck Hunt. And obviously, for everyone who has a Nintendo, this goes in the second controller port. Let me put this down real quick. Put this in. Okay. We're all ready to go. Let's fire it off. Let's see if this works. Which will be nice if it does. Oh. Womp womp. The zapper does not work, and it obviously isn't recognized by the unit. I even tried plugging in the first controller port as well, seeing if that would work. Doesn't work, so light guns do not work. Oh, fuck off. Stupid dog. Okay, so let me, hold on, I'm gonna put this down real quick. Unplug this. Oh, man. These freaking controllers are hard, a lot harder to get out than games. There we go. Pop out the game. Alright, put this over on the side here. Alright, so that does not work, but I was talking to my one friend, and they are actually designing like a black box. You can use what you plug in, like your Nintendo or Sega Master System, whatever you have, and then you plug from the black box unit, you plug that to your LCD or your current television, and it'll actually enable you to play light gun games, which is really cool. It has like a built-in filter, which I honestly think this unit is capable of. It's just that I guess they just have to do more research. So let's turn off the scan lines. Let me see, is there anything else I want to point out here? GUI sound effects. Good God, keep it off. You turn it on, you hear that. It's good for like 5 seconds until you want to like stab your ears out. So I keep it off. The volume, I originally thought it mostly just related to GUI sound effects, but the volume control was actually for the whole unit itself. So I just keep that on full blast, and I adjust the audio on the television. Which, I think some TVs, are definitely with this old piece of junk I have, the volume does affect it, mostly with my PS3. So sometimes you might want to dumb it down a little bit, just so you don't like blast your speakers out or whatever, but I just keep it at full blast. I guess I could put it like quarter, but oh well. For this video, I'll just keep it at full blast. Let me see. Just everything else I keep the same. Auto. Oh yeah, well yeah, obviously when you have the SD card, I always save everything for the SD card, and screenshot file, I always keep it as JPEG. Maybe I'll take this out and put one of the screenshots as my freaking cover art on my Facebook page. Probably not, but it's a good thought. And that's it. And also, oh yeah, also if you're updating, to update this, basically you want to take the SD card, plug it in, blank, or it doesn't matter. You could actually have like stuff on it like I do. Just say write from a request to the SD card, which basically what it just gives the unit, I guess it just gives the units like information, like its MAC address or whatever the hell, internal serial number on like a text file, and then you go online and you hit update, and then it asks for that file, and you just basically select the file, and it'll automatically come up with the current update for your current system, which is pretty easy to do. It's pretty straightforward on the instructions. Now, one thing I want to mention is I have my card formatted as FAT32. Now, I know there's like a lot of formatting like issues. Well, probably not, but I know with some things like the PlayStation and the 3 and the Xbox 360, there have been formatting issues with like the jump drives hooking into it, how it has to be formatted as FAT32 or NTFS doesn't work. Now, I don't know if NTFS does work with the formatting of the SD card. If it does, please put a link in the description, I guess, so this video can be more descriptive or more informative. But as it stands, I just have mine as FAT32 and it works. So I just wanted to point that out. Alright, what else? The Super Game Boy. Does this work? Oh, gosh, should have taken it out of the plastic first. Jesus Christ. Well, let's see here. Jurassic Park. Alright, see if the Super Game Boy works. Well, it recognizes it. Oh, before I go into this, this was another feature that has been updated. If you have an older version, you go into settings, and I think it was, where the hell was it? I think it was in video. It was around the bottom here where screen size is and refresh rate. There had an option saying display Super Game Boy borders, which is obviously that. Which I guess if you use the Super Game Boy, you could turn it on and off, which you can display it or not have it displayed. But watch this. Let's play the Super Game Boy. Oh, that is awesome. Come on, focus. Christ, you have one job, fucking camera. It does not work. Even if you go to reset the unit, no thanks, it does not work. So, Super Game Boy does not work, which is probably why they removed that options in this current version. Turn to the main menu. Oh, sorry, let me put this down to remove this. Super Game Boy, a no-go, even though it shows it up on the screen and is recognized. Which is stupid. If it doesn't work, why doesn't it say, hey, Super Game Boy doesn't work, why don't you use the port here? Basically the same thing. Well, even better, because it uses Game Boy Advance. So, that does not work. Now let's switch gears here and go to a unlicensed Camerica game. Ooh. Unlicensed game. Brilliant. It works. I don't know what that... Come on, focus. And MiG-29 works. I'm not going to play it. I'm just want to demonstrate. Everyone else's videos all plays gameplay footage. I'm just pretty much going over stuff that does and doesn't work and tips of using the Retron 5. So the unlicensed Camerica games work. Yes. Hold on, I'm going to take this out. Now you have been creative and have made a Famicom converter. Does this work? Well, let's see if it does. We got your favorite X-Dies, which is a great game. Famicom cart back. Oh, here we go. Front. Plug this in like that. And let's check it out. X-Dies. For you hobbyists, you'll be pleased to know. Oh God, this damn thing won't focus. Well, it says X-Dies. Come on. Ah, fucking camera. You'll be pleased to know that your Famicom converter does work. Oh God, I thought it broke. Just the demo. Yep. Works perfectly. That's enough of that noise. Let me take this out. And naturally, Famicom games work as well. Yeah, this is a Famicom. So, let's see if our game Genie works. Oh gosh, what should we use? Whatever. Recycled Mary Brothers Duck Hunt. Game Genie, are you gonna work? Unknown cartridge. Oh no, did I put this in? Is that what it's supposed to say? Let's try this again. Never mind. Game Genies do not work with this unit. Which makes sense because it already has its own cheat code feature when you buy the SD card. Which makes sense. Same with reason why the Super Game Boy doesn't work. You can put your Game Boy Color, and GBA games right in here. So yeah. Game Genies do not work with this unit. I mean, I only tested the Nintendo Game Genie. I've been told that I would imagine that the others don't work as well. Now, I'm going to get a little technical here. Reasoning why the Game Genie doesn't work is because for the memory, because what it does when you basically put this in, it dumps the ROM onto the system, and then it doesn't use the card anymore. Like, it's basically just detecting. Once you remove it, it'll flush out the memory. What happens is it dumps the Game Genie ROM, but it does not dump the actual game ROM. So it goes here, but it will not go here. That's why this doesn't work, and that's why Super Game Boy doesn't work. Why the Genesis Power Gate base converter works is beyond me, but I don't know. Maybe they programmed it that way. Who knows? Maybe that's an exception to the rules here. But those do not work. Let me put this down again. Take this off. Alright. Trying to organize this. Hold on. Sorry. Organized here. Shit that I went over. Okay. Alright, what else? Let's go over let's see if Star Fox 2 works. A new cartridge. Oops, my controller turned off. Oh crap, that's what I wanted to show. God darn it. Alright, well, a spoiler, the Game Genie does work, but here, let me do this and I'll go back to the Game Genie. Oh my god. This says, comes up with a warning, it's not recognized, do you want to continue anyway? Oh, yes we do, duh. I want to play some Star Fox 2. And Star Fox 2 works, yeah! The only problem with this is this actually has backup memory for the high scores. It'll erase it. And with my trick that I'll show later on, it does not work. So it'll erase it either way, because I guess mostly because it's an unknown cartridge. I'm not going to play it. We know it works. Let's go out of here. Also, one thing I want to point out is when I first got this system, I always thought that I didn't know these games were hot swappable at first. I was always putting the game in, turning it on. If I didn't want to swap out a game, I always powered the unit off before I swapped out a game. This is hot swappable and will not break any of your games. What happens is you put in a game and it loads it up and it reads it and loads it up into memory, and it doesn't use the game anymore. It basically like emulates it from the ROM dump. And then once you take it out, it'll clear out the ROM. Now that's one of the reasons why they tell you do not put more than one cart in at the same time, because if you put in a cart and it reads it and dumps it into the ROM memory, and you put in another one, then the ROM memory is full from the game you currently have, and it'll mess up. So let me go back to the Game Genie. I'm sorry. Tried to have this thing in organized order. Is this alright? So rewind back to the Game Genie, and it shows the unknown cartridge. Okay. So this comes up again, like it did with the Star Fox 2. Hey, why don't we play it? Yeah. White screen. So Game Genies do not work. And even if I do a reset, nothing. Okay, so that's the official. Now you've seen it officially. Game Genies do not work. And I have a nice screenshot there of a gray screen. Alright, now what's next? Okay, now I will go over the cheat options. So we'll use Paperboy 2. Now, to use the cheat options, you go into the game menu. And here is cheats. There's infinite lives and infinite papers. So let's cut both of them on. And we go back. Now, I think I mentioned, obviously I mentioned previously, is where you can use Super Famicom to convert from kanji to English. I believe this is the option you will end up going to, game-specific settings. And there'll be a patch, and you select it, and then there'll be, like, I guess, in the future, there'll be a patch that says translation patch. Which is, I'm going off another tangent. One thing I forgot to mention is, with this unit, in the future, you can actually, like, I know there's, like, been hacks of games, like, I know Legend of Zelda, and I think Legend of Zelda 2, there have been hacks, where you buy it, it's like different games, but it's based off of the Legend of Zelda. With this, you can actually play the hacked game on the original cartridge. So, say if you want, like, the hacked version of Legend of Zelda, you basically pop in the Legend of Zelda, go to this game-specific settings, and there will be a patch to load up the hacked version of the game. So you don't have to spend like 35, 40, whatever bucks for the hacked repo version. You can just basically, the system alters the original code to push out the hacked version of the game, which is really cool. But right now, it's I guess in beta phase, so in the future, that's what you can look forward to with this unit. Alright, so let's go back. Let's play this game with infinite papers and infinite lives, because I suck at this game. Okay, yeah. Oh, there we go. Alright, whatever. Oh man, this is going to be hard to... So obviously you can see I have infinite papers. Do I have infinite lives? Let's see, 5? Yep, infinite lives. So that's how the cheat options feature works on the Retron 5. In the main menu. Now, I have a little OCD problem. I actually go back in the cheats and I uncheck them before I remove the cart. But you don't have to do that. Once you remove it and put it back in,